How are you? How is everyone today? Welcome to the Be Positive show, guys. It's really good to see all of you. It's been a while. I have missed all of you. It's been a while, you guys, since most of you came to the show. We've had our last two episodes last week, and so far this show has been going really well. Thank you all for being here. Today, guys, we have one of the best designers in the Middle East. He's Tarun Krishna, guys. Great guy. I met this guy maybe a few years back, and I've seen his designs. This guy is incredible. Tarun, you can actually unmute yourself, and let's just get started. So tell us more about you, bro.
Okay, hi BB again, and hi to all of BB's, who is watching BB right now. So just a quick sort of like an introduction. I'm Tarun, and I run my own travel startup called Thrift. We're all about building cultures and breaking the common stereotypes that's around travel. The other thing that I do for a living is design, mainly UX design, and I've been in the startup ecosystem for about 3 years now. I've been organizing a lot of startup weekend events around the region. That's where like me and BB also met each other, and we've been a part of a lot of these shows. So it's really awesome to be here. Thank you for having me, BB.
Tarun, we are more than it's an honor for us to actually have you, and thank you so much for giving us like an hour of your time. We know how incredible the work you've been doing for the past few days, and we're really excited to just get a little insight on things from you about designs and startups in general. Guys, before we start, I would like to just let you know that you can use the command !guest, so you can get all his socials. Just use, again, as usual, the command !guest. The moment you write it, you'll get a link to his socials. This is where you can get in touch with him, see his Instagram page. Please do follow him, give him so much love, give him shout outs on your social media as well. And yeah, let's get started. So Tarun, something that I always start with this show is how was the past few months with you? How was the quarantine going, and what have you been up to lately?
So I've been having a great time, because you're usually caught up with life so much that you just pretty much forget, right, in terms of focusing on yourself, focusing on people around you, focusing on the little things in life. So the quarantine really helped me, put more focus on all of these, and make sure that I'm more than ever energetic in order to making things even better in the future. So it's been a lot of self care in terms of making sure that I am hydrated, or I'm really having a good day's sleep, etc. But it's been really good overall. Yeah, BB. How about you? How are things with you? How's your quarantine been going?
Things are going really well. So I started streaming, as you can see. I'm obviously so into the whole gaming and streaming field, doing it really well, and always loving to have hosting people on my shows. And it's really exciting to really hear about it from people and their experiences, and maybe get some information about how they dealt with certain industries and certain fields. And again, it's such an insightful thing. Again, guys, this show is made for you guys to learn more. Obviously, we have these amazing, lovely people who are always being hosted here. It's incredible that these guys are actually so supportive that they're willing to share some of their time just to be alive. It's not an easy thing being live, talking to people. But again, these guys come out of the comfort zone, and Tarun has been doing it for years, not just on this show, but like in different startup weekends, and he's really out there, guys. Tarun, tell us more, or just tell us like a project or two that you were working on in terms of design. So tell us more about how does the process go, and what do you exactly do when you start designing?
Super. So I'm going to pull out my favorite example here, which is my own startup, obviously, because when it's coming for you, you try to add in a little couple of things. So I've been working on Thrift for about a year and a half, but then mainly we started seeing a huge shift towards everything that's travel related. You've been noticing for the past couple of months, borders have been closed. Travel companies as a whole have been really affected. And in this industry, at least, you need to keep on innovating. You need to make sure that you're somehow getting people on board. So what we've been working on the last couple of months is a virtual experiences project.
Ooh.
And this means everything needs to be reshuffled, right? Everything that's starting from, your product, all the inventory you had is now gone. You're just going to replace it with new inventory, with new cities. You need to, work with all these content creators. So that's been the main sort of a challenge. So if you want me to take you through the whole design process, it always starts with finding the pain point, right? So no matter how awesome of a product you have, if the user does not find an added value, they would never ever open that product, no matter what it is. So the whole process started off with us, sort of finding what is the problem that's around traveling. Yes, we all know the obvious factor that traveling is not possible, but then there are things like people wanted to experience destinations right from their home. Big companies around the world started to introduce experiences that you can, do via Zoom calls, you can do via, streams as well, right? So we wanted to look at an option where we have all these tour guides around the world, we have travelers around the world who are really stuck with having no jobs at the moment. And nobody knows for how many more days they're going to be stuck without getting jobs. So what we started is, an additional source of revenue streams for them, which means that they can now make extra money when they're just at home, or it just does not have to be for these next couple of months, even for years to come. They can depend on this sort of an on-demand platform where they can go post their videos, and users, around the world can experience these destinations at the same time, can book these destinations, once travel opens up in the future. So for design in particular, it was all about finding these pain points and then starting to map out solutions, get a complete list of air tables and start filling it with information. So mainly you start working on, you just write down all these problems and then you start out designing them or working on them. And, I really get a little, worried just thinking about, the timelines and deadlines that's all going to be there as a designer, right? Or even as a project owner or a product owner. So making sure that we're meeting all of them. So those are the whole, like a life cycle of what you go through when you're designing or when you're building products as a whole. It's been super challenging, but we are slowly getting there. Yeah, baby.
Well, that's really good. Guys, again, Thrift is basically an app where you can experience traveling without actually traveling, just in short, simple terms. This is a great app, and his partner with Muhammad Nawaz, and they're both the founders of Thrift. Great app, guys. Do download it. Do look at it. Great UI design. Again, he's the one in charge of all those fancy things you can see on the app. And again, they're getting into VR, which I find very, very interesting. I'm actually looking forward to see that feature happening. Tarun, go ahead.
No, go on, BB. Yeah,
I was going to actually ask you, moving on with the design, what was the hardest challenges as a designer and as designer in terms of graphic design and app design and experience design as well? What was the toughest challenges you faced as a designer, and how was it like to be design is different. It's something that's so subjective and so vague. I personally like a lot of rainbows in there, but then some designers go no, that's ugly. I want just a lame color, 1, 2, 3 theme colors. Again, everyone has their own design. How was it easy to communicate these things to a lot of people, and what are the challenges of you presenting your design out there?
Super. Great question, BB. So when it comes to design, it does not matter who the client is, right? All that matters is who the client's users are, because the number one thing that they need to also understand, or as designers, we need to educate them, is that it doesn't matter if I like this font or if I like this color. It's a matter of what your users are going to like at the end of the day. So it revolves more about asking surveys or taking questions or putting the designs out there to people. And everybody goes in this whole impression that I'm not going to show anyone even a bit of my design unless and until I have the complete product. I have the complete designs ready, and then when it goes live, there might be spaces where they're like, oh man, I wish the reception had been better amongst people. So the whole problem starts with us, not being able to put it out there. So as designers, we need to push out as much as content as we can in front of the people and give them the chance to interact with it and make sure that they like it, and give them all these options, and the better vote definitely would make the cut there, right? So as designers, one of the biggest challenges again would be to finding inspiration. Kid you not, that's also another big worry for a lot of designers, because you sometimes completely get drained out of design things. And when you start to think about design, you're like, oh man, I just wish I got this extra day in my hand. I'm not able to put out anything. So whatever happens or not, you have to make sure that as a designer, you're just sitting with all that sort of energy with you to make these designs. And when there are days where you just can't, you just can go forward and see like, okay, I'm not going to touch design because it's not going to work either ways. So that's my personal thoughts, but might definitely vary.
That's actually a very good insight, because a lot of people, what they do is like, at least from what I know, I'm not a designer myself, but like they send it to the client, they see what he likes. But I see some, like, you're taking control over it, and I kind of like that. I like that you know the work, you know what you need to do, you know what's right in terms of like experience, and you kind of push that towards the goal. And I believe that's a very good way to communicate your thoughts out there, especially with clients who might be a little stubborn sometimes. But sometimes you doing this could be much more convincing than you just listening to them and then ending up changing a lot later. So sometimes doing something right from the beginning is really good. Guys, since most of you are here, hello everyone. So you have a guy called Himanshu, I believe that's from your side. He's saying inspiring thoughts. Guys, shout out to everyone who is here from Tarun's side. Welcome to the channel. Feel free to follow me. I do a lot of gaming content. I do a lot of shows here. So do follow me so you can get the notifications of next time. And thank you all for being here. If you have any questions, please make an account on Twitch and ask it on the chat. We will get to your questions at the very end of this show. And otherwise, if you need his details, if you are new and you don't know Tarun, just use the exclamation mark guest command and you can get all his social medias on there so you can contact him. Back to our topic, sure. Tarun. So again, startups, design, something we've always been looking for. Every single human being is always like so hyped about having a startup. I want to start my own company. How easy do you think that is? And is it actually possible for everyone to become an entrepreneur or start their own business? What are your views on that? At the same time, how important is it to have a partner with you, or like have someone who shares the same mentality towards your startup?
Okay, great question again. And in this moment, if you don't mind, I just would like to push out Startup Weekend, because
go for it.
Just as a community person. So the first thing is everyone are entrepreneurs themselves. It doesn't matter who you are, as long as you solve a problem, you are an entrepreneur, because you're making someone's life easy. No matter if it's just one person or two people, you're still doing it. So that's already cleared out. And what Startup Weekend is super simple. Let's say you have no idea about startups and you want to really, take your idea, go out and validate it. And you might be thinking it's going to take months to validate an idea, but kid you not, you can do it in 3 days at these events, right? And they're run across the world. And mainly, I'm trying to just push out this particular brand there because of the fact that there are so many mentors, there are so many people, there's a proven curriculum that you would be put through these 3 days, and that's the best part of it, right? And yes, that's super important. And jumping into the whole startup scene without a co-founder is, according to me at least, is a little of a hard thing, right? Because you need someone who is going to counterbalance or is going to really, make sure that you just don't jump into your own stream of thoughts and you push contents out there, but at the same time gives you that sort of a checking card by saying, hey, this might not work because, or this would work, or, take you along this whole sort of a process. So having a co-founder is 100% like super important, but there are great brands and great companies who have started it solo, but definitely from my point of view at least, having someone who can put the trust in, who understands, who builds, and who trusts the vision and the mission of your company is like super important. Yeah, so that's definitely the sort of way where I'm going. And even when we were at these startup events, it's usually 3 or more people who come together, because when there are 3 or more people, you automatically start collaborating with ideas, you put in new features, and there's that sort of a dialogue that you build before just pushing out a brand, right? So that's the most interesting part of it. Yeah, baby.
So while you were saying this, and from what I understood, is basically everyone has their own story, or let's say their own journey to go. Obviously, some did manage to do it solo, some did manage to find a co-partner. It's also very important to be able to be flexible and adaptable, as many entrepreneurs out there say. And what came to my mind is a very funny question that I want to ask you. When did you start your very first journey into this? Like when was that click where you like, oh, I want to start my first design now, or let me get into Photoshop and do my first banner or my first, and when was it and what did you do? So tell us more about your very early experiences. How old were you? Many people do start young, so it could be like when you were 10, it could be when you were in uni. Tell us more about it.
Yeah. So before university, I had no clue about startups, right? I just knew that it was a buzzword that pretty much exists. Because back then I just thought that that was just something that people used to do, but had no clue on what it is. And then the first year I get into university, there's this competition that happens called the Hubs Prize. And that was the very first instance where I was like, okay, let's give this a shot. And that was my very first sort of introduction into what building startups is, or what even a whole startup is, right? So we partnered with around 3 of my friends. There's Aditya or Mihir. I just wanted to call them out now. So these 2 guys, partnered along with them, got a couple of professors involved in the whole thing. And we wanted, so the whole challenge of the statement was building a social enterprise for refugees. So this sort of a question also was like, wow, just imagining that if I can add impact, even if it is at a small scale to help someone out, it is going to be great or awesome. And then we all 3, came up with this whole idea of a marketplace where you, can pretty much get connected with, people around your community, or people who are skilled around your community, right? So that was the whole idea, and we pretty much went ahead, did it. And 1 year later, the idea did not go through. The second year, we got selected at the regional finals.
Wow.
And so that was like an initial push, right? We took that idea, we went to a couple of startup events, pretty much refining it every single time. So no matter if your idea is small, or you have a feeling that it's not going to work, don't ever get disappointed, because if you fail, or you're in a position where it's like, okay, nobody selected me, just go ahead, take those criticisms and kind of like fine tweak it, and make it better. And definitely, the next year you're going to make it, or hopefully things would work out. and the same thing sort of like helped us. We did not just stop there. We just took the idea, made more pivots to it, made it even better, and that's sort of that's a small journey. Thank you, Bibi, for actually bringing this question. Brought back good memories.
It's always good to remember the first early times. It's always motivational because like this is the time where and last week we actually talked about this about how to improve yourself and why it's really important. And the speaker there said that it's really important to compare yourself all the time to your previous self, not to others, right? And obviously remembering that first time is always good because what you do is you're actually remembering your like the first time you've done things, and you're actually comparing it, and you're like, wow, I've improved so much. And this could be a very powerful moment towards your progress and towards motivational feelings towards the whole process in general, right?
Right.
So Tarun, again, stuff that I know about you, which you might not know that I know. We have a friend called Aditya. He's a child, and apparently you were his mentor for some time. How did that feel like? What was the mentoring experience like? How? Because again, you are an organizer at Startup Weekend, and I know a lot of people come to you for questions, especially people who are there for the first time. Like, hey, how do we start? What do we do? And so, how is it different than you being like the entrepreneur yourself or mentoring someone to be the entrepreneur? And what do you think? What do you think is the progress of changing towards that? So obviously, once you have enough experience as an entrepreneur, you've grown so much, and obviously this is an endless experience, right? It's continuous throughout your life. But like, so at some point, many people decide to become mentors, and they want to help and give all that information that they have to others. How was that change for you, and what do you advise people who want to like start to become mentors for others? What is that process like?
So, yes, the first thing is, whenever, it comes to these like startups, the hashtag give first always comes up, right? You're like, if you know something, it's better off to share it with others rather than just to keep it to yourself. And the whole thought process behind that is Adityan is a great kid. He's literally just like 14 years, but he's already having his own startups. And he's pretty much an amazing, human being as well. So he loves to learn about new things, and being that sort of a person who you can, when there's somebody who's counting on you to give that sort of an information, being there for them, or even just sharing a couple of resources as you go every single day, that sort of like gives them a feeling that, wow, this person really, gives me that opportunity to push myself even further and further, or just being there for somebody is you just can't compare it to anything, right? And the same thing with Adityan. He has all this energy. He comes up with questions and questions, and you knowing all this in your past like experiences, being able to share the torch to someone else, and helping them understand the fact that, hey, this has not worked out for me. Maybe it might work for you, but this is just an experience from my end, would give them a heads up early into the whole situation of just them letting, getting to know that, okay, I might need to think about it, or I just want to go again. So that's the sort of this whole, thing around mentoring. And it's really, amazing to meet new people, share ideas, collaborate, and learn together. Because Adityan knows so many more things that I don't know, and learning these things from him also. So it's always like, you're two people coming together to do something together at the end of the day, revolving around startups or revolving around growing together. Yeah, that's amazing.
Big shout out to Adi. I don't know if he's watching here. He promised me to watch, but he will be one of our speakers in the future, you guys. So look out for him. He's a great kid. And Tarun, you actually have a comment from our chat. Someone, Himanshu, he said that you are a really good mentor and you're always ready to share information at all times. So that's a confirmation right there as well, and a really good feedback. So moving on, since you're a good mentor, I decided to officially assign you as my mentor right now. And to begin with, so you're mentoring me as of this second. Design is something I've always been fascinated by, and I'm always interested to learn, right? But I know myself. I know I'm shit at designing. I've never had a good eye color, like an eye for color, or a good designer eye, as you guys call it. I'm always all around like every time I had to design something, people would like throw me in the garbage. Like, get out. You do your operations. You do your coding. Don't worry about design. I've never succeeded in it. What would be your advice to me specifically, or obviously anyone who wants to start design, on like how to start? How is it like a skill you're born with, or is it something you eventually? I've done courses on design, and it just never works. You know, like it's just in my brain there. It's like I'm so logical. The abstract things doesn't work for me at all. So, what's your advice on people starting? And is there any references or resources you recommend for people to start?
100%. I can convert this whole session to just like giving you sources, right? but not the time for that. But the very first like a starting point, I would say, BB, is just take time. Learning courses is not going to get you anywhere, because you're just going to be hearing and you're just going to try to end up replicating something. But in design, it's more about just going out there and using these tools and putting out those designs first and trying to practice as much as you can, right? The first thing that I would say is there are so many tools and resources that's there in terms of a starting point for design. The first biggest tool that I would recommend is Canva. A lot of people who cannot design or who really have hard time designing an amazing place, because there are thousands and thousands of templates in Canva which you can use today. It's a super simple a feature where you just go and type out stuff. It's just like a paint editor, right? It's just simple, the user interface, and kid you not, in just like 2 or 5 minutes you're going to become a master of design. You're going to come out with an amazing poster. So it's just not just thinking that I'm not great at design. There are so many tools like Canva that make you an amazing designer in like seconds. And a lot of designers in our community also use these sort of tools, because you sometimes just go into this whole funnel of like, oh man, I'm not getting that design, not working for me. You use these tools and you pretty much come up with designs in seconds. So the first thing is to acknowledge the fact that there are resources around you, and you just have to go and use them. A lot of designers also have the fear thing that, okay, if I'm using these tools, or if I'm using this, will it make me a bad designer, or will it make me have all these sort of people commenting saying that, hey, this is a template, why are you using this? But no, nobody cares. Everybody just cares about, wow, this looks good. Let's just use it. Let's move on, right? So that's the sort of thing. So the first step is to use, instant available tools and resources out there. And if you want me to give you a very quick understanding, colors, fonts, and pretty much spacing is the 3 most important thing in design, right? For colors, you have tools like colors.co. I can actually send your viewers just like a quick guide on all these tools and resources that can help them and help you as well. So these are places where it's already pre-designed, predefined for you. You can just go and pick up a color scheme. So the main thing is contrast, right? So when you're talking about design, it's all about contrast. So again, I know that I'm stepping into the whole technical shoot here.
That's fine, but I think the idea is, to you, contrast sounds like black and white, right? Or for example, light and dark. To me, it's like red and green, that kind of thing. And I know that red and green is not usually the colors to go together. So again,
yes.
With me specifically, it's a really hard. But I actually know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then that's where you use color scheme generators, and you already, it does it for you. So I don't know what are the contrasts to most of the colors. So what do? I just go on these color scheme generators, and you pick up a color, and it gives you all the different complementaries or triads or whatever, right? So that's the sort of best part, you have all these available tools in today's world, which can make you an instant designer. So yeah, yes, baby, that's my starting point for you.
It's really good that these resources are available. And again, I'm sure designers don't really work with tools eventually. I'm sure you've learned the point where like, I know this color seems right here. It's more of like a gut feeling. But I mean, it's always good to start somewhere, you know. Like every other skill, you start by imitating things or using things as resources until you eventually master that skill and you start doing it by yourself. And yeah, thank you so much for being really helpful in that sense. Like I'm actually, like, I promise you one day I'll become a good designer and I'll come and thank you for it. So like,
I'd be more than happy to support you in that journey.
I appreciate it, man. So
Yeah.
moving on, we got a question on the chat, and it's almost like time. It's almost close to the hour. So let's get to that question because it might take a while, and then I'm sure others will be asking the questions to follow up. So one of the questions that we got on the chat is, how do you know if you have what it takes to have a startup? So like, what are like the indicators, or like, oh my God, he's an entrepreneur. Like I've heard that a lot about people. Like my friends would go out and show up to like a motivational speech somewhere, and they go like, man, this guy is an entrepreneur. But I believe everyone can be an entrepreneur. But like, what are like the indicators or the key factors that make you feel like, okay, it's time for me to step out, start building something, start entrepreneuring about it?
Right. Okay, so you pretty much put me on the spot with questions, but usually, you know, when you go blank when you get asked with questions, you know, at least for me. So,
shout out to him again, guys. He's doing this for you guys. So get your asses to his channel and go follow him. Go give him so much love. I need to see 100 posts on this guy's channel today. Okay, guys?
Super. So yeah, thank you first of all for the show. Anyways, you know, jumping into this whole question again, you know, the first thing that you know would even put you in that position of thinking whether you are an entrepreneur or people around you thinking is just the fact that you go to market as soon as possible, right? As soon as you know for a fact that you are you know, out there, no matter how small it is. A lot of people have this whole misconception that if I'm using Shopify, or if I'm using WordPress, if I'm using all these available tools that's there to go to market, I'm still not in a startup. No, that's totally wrong, because you can use all these available tools at the moment and already go to market. And if you're serving that first customer, or if you're serving that you know, 10 to 15 people, that's when people around you already start to notice the fact that, okay, there are something that's you know, like super interesting about going to validate and make sure that you are out there in the market and getting that early adopters in. So that's the sort of you know, thing that just came up to my mind. I'm pretty sure after this call, I'm going to be like, oh man, I could have told this point. but yeah, this is what's
That's completely fine. Again, the whole experience of entrepreneurship takes years. You know, like if you're expecting to learn everything from scratch to like everything, I mean, as much as me and Tarun would love to teach you guys everything, it's not certainly possible in this hour, but it's a good way to start. At least, you know, it's all about you seeking it. If you really want to get out there, start like a company or a startup, this is the place to actually do it. And it starts by you guys. Like I'm not gonna come and grab you and do it. I might motivate you to do it, I might advise you to it, but like at the end of the day, it all starts with you. And I'm sure Tarun agrees with me on this. So we are just trying to give you that sense of like, you can do it. We know you can do it. We believe in you. So, and we're here to help you as well. And it's all like, it all belongs to you, and it all starts with you. The moment you want to do it, we are there to help you. And this is exactly why we're doing these things, because we want to get you out there. We want to tell you more about it. We want to share as much information and as much insights to you guys, you know. And thank you all for actually listening to this, because you never know, maybe a word he says would change your life completely, and would be a reason of you actually going out there and starting something of your own. Yeah, Tarun, again, like, what you're saying is really, really important, and I want to emphasize on the fact that a lot of people are scared of the whole idea of startups. Like, my God, there's so much expenses, there's so much to do, I need to be perfect before, and all these are like assumptions or rumors and misconceptions that people might fall into all the time, and thinking, oh, like this is the reason why I shouldn't start now, and that's what demotivates a lot of people, unfortunately. But again, guys, we do believe in you. If you have an idea, take it out there, validate it with the people, tell them more about it. You're going to learn something new every single day that's going to refine. Like, Tarun, how long did it take you to build Thrift? Like, how long? It's been almost 5-6 years now?
No. It's been a little less, maybe around like 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
But the whole thing, so look at the whole scene of you building a product for 2 years, and then suddenly the market changes, and then you still have to completely, it's like starting a new brand right now. So the whole thing is you need to be in a position to pivot as fast as possible. If you are building a startup, make sure that startup is completely digital, completely online, it's completely changeable. And even if tomorrow you want to launch something, you can go ahead and do that. And doing such things is not really hard. Like, starting a startup is not hard, as long as you have somebody who needs that sort of a product or service, and your startup offers it. You are already an entrepreneur yourself, or not entrepreneur. The term entrepreneur kind of like is it kind of gives me in weird, but it's just thing that I want to put forth by saying that nobody is going to be perfect. Nobody is going to be having a product at the end of the day where it's going to be like, this is the product, 100% people are going to love this product. No, you're going to start it. People are going to say that this is bad, this is good. You're going to adapt, you're going to change, you're going to pivot, you're going to make those small tweaks. And every single day is going to be racking up for you to creating these changes. And as you make these changes, things are going to get much, much, much better, right? And you will be thinking of it in 5 to 10 days from now. If you make those small improvements, small changes, you're going to have a whole new look and feel, and people are going to be like, okay, this is not what I saw 10 days ago. Nobody even thinks or has that memory capacity to say that the startup, this particular product that they offered was bad. In 5 days, if you make it better, they're going to come back and they're going to be like, okay, I'm going to start using it. So, and that's where design plays a crucial role, right? Design is only one thing. Design is solving problems. That's all I can say, because what design does, or user experience design, is just finding that problem. If there's a button in this particular place, there is a reason why the button is in that place. There are laws like Jacob's law that people use just to say that, okay, if I'm going to a travel website, I know that there is a search bar here, I know that there is a thing there. So it's sort of like using design in order to making those betterments, but at the end of the day, design is not everything. The first thing is making sure that your solution is, if it's even nearly not perfect, you just launch it and you hear from the people. That's the main thing. Yeah, that's.
I'm just there, like, listening to you, and I'm thinking, like, damn, I need to go and open 5 startups now. After this motivation. Now, Tarun, moving on to the next question, which is exactly opposite of what I was thinking. What are your plans in the next, let's say, 1 to 2 to 3 years? So, do you plan to obviously expand a lot on Thrift? Do you plan to maybe branch out, find new ways to target new customers? What's your plan in general? Do you plan to improve any more skills? Do you have any ideas of learning a new skill? Maybe perhaps coding, maybe do something. What's your plan specifically as a person in the next 2 to 3 years?
Great question, BB. So the first thing is, for the startup, let me just give you an idea on where we're heading. We want to make traveling a piece of cake in terms of making the whole travel planning process as simple as it gets. And whenever it comes to destinations that you might think of, people just go like, oh, I might be scared to travel there. This is what the news is talking about, the destination or etc. So it's finding the best possible guarantee for you to be like, okay, this place is amazing. It's like travelers around the world coming together and giving you these sort of insights. So our whole goal is to, build technologies that's going to make your life super, super easy in terms of, travel or travel planning and travel booking at the same time. So that's the sort of direction we are heading currently. We are using all these new techniques that's understanding you as a person, and then trying to suggest or recommend things for you as well. So that's something that's happening in terms of my personal growth. I've been super interested in illustration learning. So although I'm a designer, I'm not an illustrator. So I'm like learning on how to illustrate, or the 3D illustration is something that's super, super interesting in 2020. A lot of people are trying to deep dive into the 3D illustrations or applying that to your products and services. So that's something that I'm constantly in the lookout for learning, and making sure that we're implementing it. Yeah.
Well, good luck with that, and yeah, you are right, especially with the whole we're all locked down at home, and we need to literally get customers by them watching something at home, and this is exactly where the illustration comes from. Good point, actually, and I believe you are going in the right path, because I feel like there'll be a lot of changes moving on, and a lot of ways where we're gonna be there'll be a lot of online interaction more than physical interactions. Unfortunately, but that's what the situation is kind of forcing us to do, and getting into those skills is really, really important. So yeah, good job, and I wish you best of luck with that. Yeah. One question that we got again from Himanshu, I believe he's your friend again. He's basically asking, is it important to always apply for incubators and accelerators? And since he mentioned that, what's the importance of accelerators and incubators, and how is it different from starting by your own self? So like, what are the advantages and disadvantages of being in an incubator accelerator?
Yes, startup. First of all, the question super important, because incubators and accelerators are there for the fact that if you have an idea and you want to validate it, and instead of you going and finding all these resources, the incubators or accelerators. First of all, let me just give you a quick breakdown. The incubators are for idea stages, or places where you are building a product, or you're building the product, right? And an accelerator is where you go to when you have a product and you want to really take it to the market and scale. So incubators, so incubators definitely play a crucial role in shaping your idea. Let it be the mentors. Mentor support is the biggest asset that you can find anywhere, because each mentor has so many years of experience, and they are coming to you and giving you that sort of a 2 cents of that particular field or expertise or whatever, right? So being in an incubator is super important, I would say, because it helps you shape and make your idea better. And at the end of the demo day, you're already there pitching that idea to hundreds of investors, hundreds of audiences around you. Yes, being a part of an incubator or accelerator is like really crucial if you don't have the time to just and bootstrap everything and build it all yourself, because these are places where you go to validate it and take it forward. Yes, so I would say that it is important. but not necessarily, don't take my word over here just for that. There are so many amazing companies that come out because they've been able to go to market first, and they don't have the requirement to. But these companies also have advisors, who are mentors. So where do you get mentors? Again, pulling you back to the question of going to an incubator or place where you can find mentors, worth of experience. You can also find them on LinkedIn and places like that who are open to mentoring. So that's again a spot there, a place there.
So yes, guys, again, every journey is going to be different. Don't expect to go out there and copy someone's journey. That's the worst thing you can do. Every journey is different. Every, let's say, startup is different, and the way they go to the market and stuff. Tarun, I guess we're coming to an end. But before that, a lot of guys, like I can read your comments, and he can't, unfortunately, but I can read your comments, and they're all in love with you, man. Like Neha, thank you for the follow, by the way, and she's saying that you are really inspiring and overwhelmed about working under your guidance. She's giving you a great shout out there.
Thank
and
you.
One of my friends, Dalia, she's saying thank you for the information. It has been useful. They're all over you, you know, like they're really happy to hear what you said. And thank you so much for doing this. Like there's a lot of people watching you right now, and they're really happy to hear this. And I hope guys, again, if you hear this and you go out there and do nothing about it, it's your loss. Like, see, Tarun just gave you an advice for life, you know? Now, what you need to do is apply it, right? And again, we are here telling you about it. We're here to support you. But if you don't start it, it's not going to go anywhere, right? So this is the chance where you yourself can take it further and go and do something about it, right? This is where we basically achieved our goal, which is to get you guys in there, to give you the right insights, to get you motivated, and now it's all about you guys. Tarun, any last words from you before we end up? And again, great thank you for being here. I personally really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. And obviously these guys are like throwing you with crazy comments, so like there are too many, I can't even sit and read them.
Super. All right, Bibi, just a couple of closing remarks here. First of all, hosting a show like this, it's amazing, right? Thank you so much, because you are bringing out the positivity in people, and then you're trying to push out this thing. So first of all, thank you so much for that. The second thing is for all the viewers out there, no journey is a small journey, right? And it's up to you to go ahead and do whatever you want. There are so many resources around you. You just have to pretty much take one of the fields that you love and go ahead for it. And we're all there. There are so many people around the world who are ready to help you to take your idea to the next level as well. So I would say just go for it, just do it. Right? Okay.
All right. Guys, this is the Be Positive Show. Looking forward to see you all tomorrow as well. We have another episode, and the speaker is going to be a surprise. Again, I'm going to be hosting my show every weekend per UAE. So that will be every Friday and Saturday at 5 p.m. UAE time. Looking forward to see you all in the future. Adi's saying hi. By the way, Adi, big shout out to you. We've already given you a shout out. So if you haven't heard it, go back and watch it again. But yeah, guys, looking forward to see you all. And again, thank you, Tarun. Thank you all. Please do follow me so you guys can get the notifications in the future. Just, it's up there, the button. Feel free to always show up to my channel. Throughout the weekdays, I'm doing gaming content. So if you're into that as well, feel free to join me. I play a lot of games: Valorant, League of Legends, RuneScape, Sims. I can literally go on forever. This is my channel. Thank you guys again so much for being here, and I'll see you all soon. Tarun, thank you so much, and take care. Guys, I'm gonna be hosting one of my friends as we go.